Welcome. So I want to take just a few minutes and let you know about something important to us, something that we wanted to roll out to you, and it's along the lines of safety, but it is through dropped objects. You've probably seen some pilots that we've done here on site, just working with what we've seen across industry, across Shell, and even here locally, of some of the best practices that are in place. You should know that the policy that you're about to understand and we're going to read through or work you through is basically a culmination of a collaboration with multi-departments here on site, but also across Shell and across the industry. So for the next few minutes, we're going to walk through that policy as well as give you some demonstrations on how exactly to use the tools that we want to implement to help us with the policy. So please know that this is very important because your safety is first and foremost for us. And quite frankly, whenever you talk about dropped objects, you're actually, if you were the person that ended up dropping an object, you're actually injuring a coworker. And we want to make sure that we look out for each other in everything that we do. So please take a few minutes, sit back and watch and learn. If you have questions as we go through this, please escalate those questions because we want to make sure we're not just rolling out a policy in any form of checking the box, but actually a policy that we all can get behind, we can drive and actually implement so that we actually do reduce our high potential injuries and our high potential incidents. So please take a few moments again and sit back and watch this. It's with great effort that we do this and we appreciate your time. And remember that everything we do out here, there's nothing so important that we get somebody hurt. Thanks.
How's it going, Geismar? Brooks Moran here. So we decided that it would be better, instead of just having everybody review the procedure, go through reading all that, to do a video to give y'all kind of a procedure in a nutshell type deal, but covering all the key points that should affect us and that will affect us every day in the way we work. So we're going to start that, and bear with me here. So basically the requirements of the procedure are anytime we're working above grade, we have to tether our tools, have to have our tools secured. So that'll be with a tether. So that's our primary defense in making sure things don't fall, making sure we don't hurt people. The secondary things are installing a red barricade if we're working above grade, outside of a handrail, outside of a scaffold deck, and there's a potential for something to fall. We've got to use red barricade from now on. A lot of times in the past we've used yellow barricade. In the future, everything at Geismar when it comes to working above grade will be red barricade. The last one, if we're working on grading, so we don't expect people to install red barricade 3 decks down when we're working up in a structure. So we'll put down a fire blanket or in some type of netting or something like that to keep tools from going through grading. So got to have 2 forms of protection. We got to tether tools. We got to use red barricade tape or some type of matting or fire blanket or something on the grading to keep things from falling through grading. So exceptions to it, rotating tools. So we don't want to introduce a hazard of putting a tether on a rotating piece of equipment or tool. So we're not going to tether those things. Specialty electrical tools. So we've got insulated screwdrivers that guys can open up caps on transmitters, stuff like that when things can't be locked out or aren't locked out, troubleshooting. The AC guys actually brought this to my attention. They do some troubleshooting on air conditioners where these tools are built specially to keep from getting electrocuted. So we're not going to install a tether point, install a tether on that, and maybe compromise the integrity of that tool. Any tools greater than 5 pounds. So once we get tools, and I'll be honest with y'all, once we're getting close to 5 pounds, if you ever feel that you do not want this tethered to you, don't tether it. We'll capture it in the permit process, an exception, and we'll document that we'll install red barricade, keep people out the area. But 5 pounds is the rule of thumb. Once we get 5 pounds and above, you wouldn't believe how big of a wrench it takes to get to 5 pounds. So that's another exception. A lot of questions about radio, so we kind of threw that in as an exception. We don't expect you to have a tether hooked to your radio, but what we do expect is to have it either in a holster or just the clips on your radio. It can be clipped in your pocket, clipped on your shirt. Those clips are sufficient to not have to have a tether or some type of device holding it. Electronic devices. So I got an iPad here. So this iPad has a hand strap, so we can keep that around our wrist. But also we went ahead and threw a tether on this thing. So I know a lot of folks go outside, take pictures. So electronic devices, you have to have them secured. You have to have them tethered some type of way secured. But what you don't have to do, while it's in the exceptions, is you don't have to install red barricade. You don't have to put up a fire blanket, anything like that. Just that tether, that wrist strap is good enough. We've had a lot of questions when it comes to an operator. So we threw in a little caveat, nights and weekends, there's nobody around, you have complete control of your unit. So you do have to tether tools still, because we don't want to drop things out here, but you don't have to install a red barricade or fire blanket on nights and weekends. Any operator doing non-intrusive work, which operating a valve with a valve wrench is non-intrusive, you will have to have your tool tethered, your valve wrench tethered, but you will not have to put up a barricade or use fire blanket and all that other stuff. So day-to-day operational duties, the big change in this will be having a tether on your valve wrench, having a tether on your channel locks. Talk about working on grading. Again, this is, so now we, from an operator side, we're talking about permitting stuff. From a maintenance side, we're talking about doing work. We're working on grading on the first deck. We need to tether our tools, of course. We also need to use fire blanket or some type of netting or something to cover the grading, or you can install a red barricade down below you. So you'd be working on the first deck, you got a red barricade below you to keep folks out the area. As we start rising in that unit, once we get to a second deck or above, the red barricade is no longer required. You can just put down the fire blanket and tether your tools. So building scaffolds, that's going to be a change that you'll see from an operator standpoint. We do a post scaffold inspection. You'll have to inspect, make sure they have netting on all our scaffolds at the site. The actual task of building scaffold, in the past, we've always used yellow barricade. From now on, we're doing work above grade. Things can fall. That'll be a red barricaded task. All right, so I mentioned permitting a couple times, so we'll go over some permitting expectations. So, guy comes up to you, I need to install some insulation up there in the pipe rack. So what would that permit kind of look like? So they're going to install the insulation, let's say using a battery operated drill. That way we can get two examples with one. So we don't put tethers on rotating equipment, so that battery operated drill is a rotating piece of equipment, so we wouldn't tether that. But what we would do is have a conversation with a man. So look, we know you're not going to tether that, it's a rotating piece of equipment. What you're going to do to mitigate and make sure. So they're going to tell you, and just document it on the permit. They're going to put up red barricade, keep folks out of the area. So that is sufficient, but we have to document on the permit. Maintenance guys will turn around, they'll document it on their JSA, so we cover it on both areas. Housekeeping. So, man, to me, this is the biggest thing. We've had a push with our contract groups when they see things laying around on grading and pipe racks, on scaffold decks, to bring it down. Take it from the top, bring it down. It's big, it's real key. So storage of materials and housekeeping, we got to do a good job of cleaning up as we work. When we're using tools and we're done using them, we got to put them in a secured bag. It'll be a closed top bag, any type of bag, but it has to be closed top. The open top Klein tool bags will no longer be allowed on site. By October 1st, you'll see all of those weeded out. It'll all be closed top bags. I think we get caught up in the whole tethering thing because that immediately affects the way we work. But a big part of this is making sure we secure things at heights, making sure we keep our units clean. We don't just leave valve wrenches laying on grading, leave check valves laying all over next to toe rails and things like that. What is our goal? Our goal is to protect people, care for people, and to not let things fall from heights. So do whatever you can to keep things from falling from heights, and we're gonna be good, and Geismar's gonna be a better place. That's what all this is about. Next part of this is to show y'all some options with tethering and show y'all how to install a couple little permanent tether points. So I got David Leary here with me. Everybody knows Dave. Dave's gonna help me out. We're gonna start with a little double pouch here with some retractable lanyards in it. Option when it comes to tethering. So you would put this little pouch on your regular belt that you wear every day anyway. Channel locks and a valve wrench. Most operators, that's what we carry around. This is probably the route that I would go if I was doing it. So very simple. You can see we've got some permanent tether points on here. We'll cover that in a second, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell with that pouch. We've got some other little pouches available. This one's kind of like an I&E one where you could put a meter and different little devices in here. You still got some retractables to be able to do your tools and stuff like that. David actually has on the Comfort Fit utility belt. So pretty comfortable belt. The actual outside of the belt is kind of like our rescue belts and stuff. It's got the little quick snap, quick connect on it. If you choose to go the belt route, you'll have to get the little D-ring over there, that orange D-ring that's hanging off Dave's side. And we can just snap right into that like Dave had it, or we can cinch to that side and snap into our tools. So we'll show y'all kind of how we envision that looking. So Dave chose to snap in his D-ring, so on this side he's going to make a cinch knot around the wrench. So that'll just be a tension knot is all it is. slip it up over the wrench, and it's got this little tighten down strap that you can slide up to make sure it stays secure. If your tether does not have this little tighten down piece, you don't have to do that, but that just on this type of tether, it's got it. So you slide it up, now that's good to go. So on this wrench, Dave, if you don't mind showing them the end of the wrench, we could have went the other route, right? So we could have cinch knot to our D-ring and then snap in with the triple locking carabiner, snap into this loop at the bottom. So different options. We're going to show y'all some different ways to do it. Be creative with this stuff, whatever works best for you. Again, the main goal is just to make sure that we secure tools when we're working at height, secure tools when we're carrying them back and forth. So what else when it comes to options wise? Oh, the radio holster. So your regular radio holster that you have, you can do the same thing. So you can take your lanyard, pass it through, loop it through your radio holster, make a cinch knot onto your holster. Now you're ready with your carabiner to snap into anything. So let's look at some options when it comes to snapping. So we'll show y'all in a second how to install these little tether points, but once we snap it in, once we've got our tether points there, we can just snap in, hook into them. All right, Dave, let's show them. Let's show y'all the different tether points, and then we'll show you how to install them. How about that? So the first one is a cold shrink. So this little wrench has the final product on it. Let's show you kind of how it would work. So to install this, we'll take our crescent wrench and our molecular tape. We'll go over the molecular tape later again, but we'll just make a couple wraps on this crescent wrench. So we're going to make a couple wraps on it, and all this is doing is creating a friction point. So that takes 5 seconds, and we'll take this cold shrink. It's very similar to heat shrink. Instead of using a heat gun, you just got this plastic around. So we'll slip it over, and we'll take the plastic, we'll pull it. As we pull that, this rubber squeezes down on top of the wrench, on top of that molecular tape, and forms this little point right here. That's not going anywhere. So we got another one here. You can set that down, brother, if you want. We got another one here that's on a valve wrench. Same type deal. So again, with this valve wrench, we can install a point similar to this, or we got a loop on the end. We can just snap right into that loop. Either way, it's all, again, your own personal preference. Let's tell you what, let's do the channel locks, bro. All right, so channel locks, there's different ways that we can do it. So we can use molecular tape and a little D-ring like we did on this valve wrench and do that, but what we're going to show y'all is a little collar. This collar slides on the channel locks. You take this little rubber piece and you'll slide it on there. You see it's going to take a little bit to get it on there because it's designed not to come off, right? So as that thing slides up, just slide it up as far as you can on your channel locks, and there you go. That can't come off. And again, I'm gonna grab my tether. Once we create that point, we can snap right in, use it. Not a big deal. What else? Just so people using small stuff, those little collars right there on a screwdriver, same type application, just slide them down. Simple. There are tons of ways that you can tether stuff, tons of ways you can get permanent anchor points on there. We're going to offer a bunch of different ways in our PPE catalog, but again, working nights and weekends or whatever, just surfing the internet, if you see something that looks cool, share it with us. Let us know about it. If it's a better option, man, we're open to that. We want to make this as seamless transition as possible, make it as user-friendly as possible. All right, so I guess the last step is to show y'all how to install this little D-ring on a valve wrench. So Dave, if you want to hold that and the D-ring. So we'll pull this out, piece of molecular tape. Normally you want to go about 3 or 4 times the size of your wrench there. Cut it. So you'll peel off the back side to where the stuff isn't sticky. It just sticks to itself. So let's hold it to where they can see it a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to come down here at the end, on one end. We'll make 3 to 4 wraps. 3 wraps is kind of what they recommend, but you know, 4 is overkill, ain't no big deal. Tangled up here, all right. So actually, yeah, roll it, Dave, there you go. Alright, so we got us 3 initial wraps. Now we're going to come the length of this D-ring and just keep coming down. For those of y'all ever wrapped a baseball bat, that's kind of how I picture this happening. So you'll keep cutting that tape in half, cutting it in half, and I got excess tape here, but we'll just go back over.
Just get a spare scissors and cut it.
So we made 3 wraps. We come across the D-ring. We're gonna make 3 more wraps to secure it again, right there in the same spot. All right, this excess, since we got scissors right here, we're just gonna cut it off. You'll cut it off, and now you have a permanent anchor point on your valve wrench. Folks that go out in the field with electronic devices, we got an iPad for an example, but anything you go out there with. So in the procedure, it talks about if it has some type of loop where you can slip your hand through it, cameras, temp guns, thing like that got a loop, you don't have to have this tether attached. We attached a tether to this just for demonstration purposes, but since you can slip that on your wrist, you wouldn't need this. But you got it there. We can snap into our belt wherever we want and be good with that, and we have electronic devices secured. Please, if you have questions or concerns, bring them up. If we don't know about them, we can't help address them. But in the end, it's all about protecting people. I know a lot of times when safety procedures come down, or any procedures, man, it's just another thing to make it harder on us to work. But to me, this is not that case. So last year in the K2 turnaround, we dropped the wrench over 50 feet. They had a lady standing on the ground that almost hit her. If that wrench hits her, this procedure would have been in effect the next day, and we would have had a very terrible story to tell for the rest of our careers. So we're lucky we dodged that bullet. But think about it in that mindset. I mean, we're lucky enough to establish this procedure, start doing it, to not have a bad incident happen. Most of the procedures that we have are because of something bad happened. This time we got lucky, nobody got hurt. We got a good procedure to work from. Please keep providing feedback from us. For us so we can make it better for y'all. Thank y'all for y'all time. Thank you for your patience. Thank y'all for having a positive attitude when it comes to all this. Again, please, if y'all have anything, holler at us. Thank you, Dave, for helping me out, and until next time.
So Team Geismar, while shooting this video, we noticed quite a few hazards when it came to dropped objects. This one in particular was pretty bad. As you can see, the deck's actually unlevel, and there's no toe board protecting any of these objects from falling through. To give you an example, this wrench will pass right in between the 2 decks. So we're going to remove this hazard. Let's do Geismar justice, and as we're out there making rounds or performing tasks, if we see these dropped object hazards, let's remove them from the units. Thanks, and have a good day.